Welcome to TCS's TrailerWIN training portal. Today we're going to show you how to put a tipper body and a tow bar on a truck. You go up to the blank page on the top left hand side and we'll click on a truck. Today we're going to use a UD from the Australian range and scroll down until you get to the GW. $26,420. We'll double click on that and sub options will come up. Click on that and you'll get a preview in the top right hand side window, and you can see the Euro wheelbase for this one from the first steer axle to the first drive axle is 3300mm. Click OK. On this particular vehicle, we'll assume that the requirements for a legal axle load of 6.5 tonne are met. So we'll increase the front axle group load up to 6.5 and increase the GVM up to 23 tonne. You can see here, because there are such a wide range of models available in TrailerWIN, we always recommend checking the details here against the physical spec sheet. So the spec sheet for this vehicle should list a front axle tear weight of 4653 and a rear axle tear weight of 3689. We'll leave the wheelbase unchanged here, and if we drag this screen up, we'll put 2 occupants in the cabin and they can weigh 120 kilos each. Hit OK and the truck will appear on the screen. Now that the truck's appeared on the screen, you'll see this window in the bottom left which describes the model. Click on the top left to minimize that, and you'll also see the yellow warning box comes out. That's just reminding you to double check that this particular vehicle is eligible for the 6.5 tonne front axle rating. Okay, on this particular truck, the customers asked for a 4.7 metre tipper body. So if we go up to the body button, and then the tipper is the one on the top right. Click on that. We're going to place the tipping hinge 850mm rear of the center of the rear axle. The body, TrailerWIN will automatically default to allow 100mm between the front of the body and the rear edge of the cabin. We're going to increase that though up to 1300 to allow for a front mounted hoist. TrailerWIN will list a body length to optimize weight distribution based on what is currently on the screen. This particular customer wanted a 4.7 metre body with 1.2 metre side walls. We're going to put in a weight of 450 kilos per metre. It's important that you check with your bodybuilder before you enter these weights to get an idea of how heavy the body will be that they put on. So reduce the subframe height to 100mm. That will just lower the body on the screen. And we're going to reduce the chassis rear overhang to 900mm. Click OK. Now the tow coupling overhang window will now pop up. So you can see here the rear overhang of the chassis remains at 900, which we just entered in. In here we're going to put a tow bar in. In TrailerWIN, all conventional tow bars are represented by what looks like a 50mm automatic pin coupling. That's purely just a picture to represent the tow bar. This tow bar weight, we're putting that in as 100 kilos. Again, check with your tow bar supplier to get a more accurate idea. And the location of the coupling, we're going to put that 150mm rear of the end of the chassis. Things like coupling location are critical if you're applying for PBS or if it will be a PBS vehicle, so always check where it needs to go. Also check the manufacturers or the OEM bodybuilding guidelines to see what they recommend in regard to maximum rear overhang for tipper vehicles. Click OK, and the tow bar is now on there. Okay, the next step is to put a subframe on. Click on the subframe button. We're going to choose a subframe with a tapered front end. We're going to start the subframe 850 rearward from the center of the steer axle. Subframe will be 4650 long. And you can see you get a preview here. I've chosen 4650 because the end of the subframe will line up with the end of the chassis. I'm going to leave the subframe weight at 100 kilos per meter here for the sake of the example. Again, it's important to check with your bodybuilder to get a good idea of how heavy their actual subframe will be, so that you can reflect that in the drawing and make the drawing as accurate as possible. Click OK, and the subframe appears. You can see here the subframe is actually sitting higher than the body. That's because I reduced the allowable subframe height for the body. And now if I go into the subframe window again, make that 100, click OK, and the subframe now sits under the body. The next step is to put a hoist at the front of the body. So to do that, we go up to Devices, click on Devices, and you'll see a range of options appear. The one we're looking for is a front mounted hoist on the tipper. Click on that one and you can see all of the pre-installed front mount hoists that we have. For this example, we'll go for a Hiver FE. Double click on that one and then the sub options come up. Scroll down, we'll go 162-4. This one here. Click OK, and you can see that the tipping gear window comes up now. For that one, we're not changing the location of the tipping hinge. We will just go with the weight that's already entered into TrailerWIN and hit OK. And now the hoist appears. Now that that hoist is there, just go into the body window. Double check all the measurements are correct and then hit OK. So now we've got the basic drawing. One thing you do notice is that the rear axle is overloaded by about 2% and the warning comes up in the yellow box here. It's important to remember that the weight distribution we have here is only as accurate as the information that you put into it. And it can vary, well, it will vary based on the weight of the occupants in the cabin, fuel levels, fluid levels, and also the way the payload is spread through the body. For this example, we're assuming it's a water level load, so it's evenly distributed along the length of the body. Because we've got the rear axle group overloaded, one potential way to get a better weight distribution would be to increase the wheelbase. However, it might also be acceptable to change the body. So you can see here if we reduce the body length from 4.7 meters down to 4.5, click OK, and we get a much more favorable weight distribution now. Customers obviously lost volume in the tipper body. Reducing the body, or reducing this particular body by 200 mil is equivalent, well, we can make up for that by increasing 50 mil in the height. Now have a similar volume in the body and a much better weight distribution. That's all for this video, but in a separate video to follow using this same drawing, we'll show you how to print the TrailerWIN drawing and calculations. We'll also show you how to add text and disclaimers, and then in a third additional video we'll show you how to add trailers. Thank you.